When we think of Anjelica Huston, we often picture her as the elegant, dark, and mysterious MorticiaAddams from the Addams family. But what if I told you that the skeletons in her real-life closet are far more chilling than anything in that fictional mansion? Behind her poised exterior lies a family history filled with scandal, secrets, and betrayal, secrets that might make even the most audacious Huston film plot seem tame by comparison. John Huston was one of the most celebrated filmmakers of his time, known for creating cinematic masterpieces that stood the test of time. But he was also a man with insatiable appetites, a notorious womanizer whose life off-screen was marked by a series of affairs that left chaos in their wake. His relationships weren't just fleeting, they were often scandalous, leaving a trail of heartbreak and betrayal, even for those closest to him. Anjelica, his daughter, grew up in this world of excess, surrounded by stars, directors, and artists. But it wasn't just the glamorous parties or red carpets that defined her upbringing, it was the complicated, sometimes painful relationship with her father. For Anjelica, her father's charm wasn't enough to cover up the cracks in their family life, nor the dark secrets she would eventually uncover. One of those secrets was about Zoe Salas, a young woman who was not only Anjelica's friend but also became romantically entangled with her father. That's right, John Huston, Anjelica's famous father, was sleeping with her young friend. And how did Anjelica find out about this? In a way as daring as the role she would later play on screen, Anjelica discovered the affair herself, stumbling upon a scene that no daughter should ever have to witness. This moment wasn't just a betrayal of trust, it was a profound fracture in the father-daughter relationship that had already been riddled with complications. Zoe Salas, once a friend, now became a bitter reminder of the tangled web her father had spun. For many, a revelation like this might lead to an irreparable break, but for Anjelica, this was only the beginning of the tangled dynamics in her life. John Huston's illicit affairs didn't stop there. He fathered a child with Zoe, Anjelica's former friend, adding another layer of complexity to their already fractured relationship. This child, Danny Huston, would later become a well-known actor and director in his own right, but his very existence was a reminder of the betrayals that haunted Anjelica's family. My father was larger than life, he lived without boundaries, without guilt. It was thrilling in one way, but devastating in another. He didn't care who got hurt, not really. Anjelica's father was not the only man in her life to leave her wounded. Her tumultuous relationships with other powerful men, including a long-term affair with Jack Nicholson, brought her both passion and heartbreak. Like her father, Nicholson was a man of many secrets, and their relationship was plagued by infidelities and emotional turmoil. Despite the betrayals, despite the secrets, Anjelica Huston never allowed herself to be defined by the men in her life. She carved out her own path, becoming a Hollywood icon in her own right. But no matter how many awards or accolades she received, the personal pain from her father's indiscretions, and those of others, never truly left her. John Huston's illicit affairs were just one part of a larger, darker legacy, one that left its mark on Anjelica, even as she tried to rise above it. In many ways, her story is a reflection of the old Hollywood system, glamorous on the outside, but full of hidden scandals and heartbreak behind the scenes. For Anjelica, the skeletons in her family's closet were not just metaphorical. They were all too real. Anjelica Huston, the celebrated actress, the darkly alluring MorticiaAddams, is more than her roles on screen. Behind the iconic image lies a woman shaped by betrayal, loss, and the secrets of her family's past. But even as those shadows loomed large over her life, Anjelica has faced them head-on, proving that no matter how dark the truth may be, it cannot extinguish the strength and grace of a survivor. But as the years went by, Anjelica Huston didn't let these betrayals define her. She could have easily crumbled under the weight of the secrets, scandals, and the complicated legacy her father left behind. Instead, she chose to embrace her own identity and pursue a career that showcased her immense talent, making a name for herself that would be remembered long after the scandals faded from memory. Anjelica Huston's career wasn't just about the roles she played on screen, it was about reclaiming her story. For every skeleton in the closet, she built a layer of armor, using her pain to fuel her passion for the craft. Her performances, often tinged with a sense of darkness and mystery, seemed to echo the complexities of her own life. She became a master of portraying characters with depth, vulnerability, and fierce independence, perhaps a reflection of her own inner strength. But Anjelica's journey was never just about survival, it was about triumph. Hollywood recognized her talent, awarding her numerous accolades, including an Academy Award for her role in Chrissy's Honor. And while the applause and recognition were well-deserved, what truly defined her success was her resilience, her ability to rise above the scandals and forge her own path in a town where family names often cast long shadows. It's impossible to talk about Anjelica Huston without mentioning her father, John Huston. His shadow loomed large over her early life, but in the end, it was Anjelica who defined her own legacy. While John's reputation was marred by personal betrayals and illicit affairs, Anjelica's is one of artistic integrity and emotional resilience. She managed to take the darkest parts of her family's history and turn them into a narrative of empowerment. The affair between John Huston and Zoe Salas produced a son, Danny Huston, who would also go on to become an actor and director. It's a curious twist of fate that despite the tangled web of relationships, the Huston family has continued to leave its mark on Hollywood, generation after generation. But for Anjelica, the past is not just a series of scandals, it's a reminder of the complexity of human relationships, the messiness of life, and the strength it takes to move forward. But Anjelica's journey was never just about survival, it was about triumph. Hollywood recognized her talent, awarding her numerous accolades, including an Academy Award for her role in Chrissy's Honor. And while the applause and recognition were well-deserved, what truly defined her success was her resilience, her ability to rise above the scandals and forge her own path in a town where family names often cast long shadows. It's impossible to talk about Anjelica Huston without mentioning her father, John Huston. His shadow loomed large over her early life, but in the end, it was Anjelica who defined her own legacy. While John's reputation was marred by personal betrayals and illicit affairs, Anjelica's is one of artistic integrity and emotional resilience. She managed to take the darkest parts of her family's history and turn them into a narrative of empowerment. The affair between John Huston and Zoe Salas produced a son, Danny Huston, who would also go on to become an actor and director. It's a curious twist of fate that despite the tangled web of relationships, the Huston family has continued to leave its mark on Hollywood, generation after generation. I suppose, in the end, we all have our demons. The difference is whether you let them control you, or you find a way to live with them, maybe even use them to tell a story worth telling. Anjelica Huston's story is one of survival, strength, and artistry. Yes, there are skeletons in her closet, more than enough to fill any Hollywood script. But for every dark secret, there is a moment of brilliance, a shining example of how one woman turned her pain into power. She didn't just survive the scandals, she thrived in spite of them, and in doing so, she created a legacy far greater than any skeletons her family's past could ever hold. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood secrets, because in the end, the real story isn't the scandals we hide, it's the strength we find to rise above them.